Hey guys, what's going on? This is Dr. Mern here, delivering the awesomeness like before, and today I have a special one for you. Today we are going to be building the Tesla homepage. So we are actually going to be using ReactJS, which is the most popular JavaScript library in the past few years. I also want to mention that this tutorial is 100% beginner friendly. So if you've never coded in ReactJS before, this is the second best place for you to start after the Profit with JavaScript course, which you can check out in the description down below.
Profit with JavaScript is your go-to course to kickstart your web development career, including several modules going from writing your first line of code to building projects that worth a whopping $5,300 on Upwork, cloning real-world applications like Netflix, Amazon, and many more. We also teach you how to land your jobs as a developer, how to charge what you're worth as a freelance developer, how to make an amazing portfolio, and many more. Check out the link in the description below to get to know more about it.
With that out of the way, if you want me to go deeper in the Tesla.com website and eventually even build the car configurator for you, I want you to go ahead and smash that like button down below so that I know that you're actually excited about this. Comment down below if you like this video, and with that said, let's roll that intro.
So, time to get our hands dirty, and step number one is obviously creating the project folder that we will be using. So I'm just gonna call it Tesla Home. Yep, and not Texas. So we got services, new terminal, add that specific folder, and I'm just gonna go ahead and type in npx. Let me actually zoom in a bit. So npx create React app, and I'm just gonna hit a dot because I want this to be in that specific folder instead of creating a new one. And that's pretty much it. Let it run for a second, and I'm just gonna speed it up a bit. All right, amazing. So once you see these two words, happy hacking and all these yarn, or in your case, if you use npm, then npm start build test eject and all that stuff, you are good to go. Now, so I'm just gonna open up a new one, and I'm just gonna say yarn and start. So that way I'll fire up the React server. Oops, something is happening on my local 3000, and here we go. Okay, so this is the template project that you get actually from the guys over at Facebook. So this is a template React project. Let's actually take a look into it. So code space dot will actually open up a VS Code in that specific folder for me. So that's amazing. All right, so to change this application, we actually need to go into app.js file and start by deleting everything inside of header, deleting the logo import because we're not going to use that anymore. We are not going to use logo SVG, setup tests, app test.js. All these test files and the logo can go. We also have app.css, which we will just go ahead and empty out. And we also have index.css, and we're just going to add a margin of 0. So that way, everything is going to be perfectly aligned to the sides. Amazing. All right, so I'm just going to add the H1 over here so that we actually see what's going on. So I'm just going to type in Clever Programmer. There we go. You can see that on the top over here, it says Clever Programmer, so that's amazing. And with that, we are actually done with step number one, which is amazing because we can go back into our terminal and type in git add dot and say git commit -m and clean up. So that way we just make a commit that we did these sort of changes, and that way it is now committed. So that's that. It's time for us to start coding. All right, it is time to actually start coding, and let's actually start in app.js. So Let's take a look at how the official Tesla.com page looks like. So let's take a look at this. So we have a few different things happening over here. So we got the logo, we got this thing in the center, and we got these two items over here. Now we also have a title in the middle, and we have some sort of p tag, I believe, happening over here. And we also have these two buttons and this little arrow, which actually doesn't exist on any of the following pages. And notice that the header is on top and is always on top as I scroll through. And we also have this scroll snapping thing, something that I will actually leave till the end of this video, so you have to actually watch the whole thing, right? Not just further to it. So that's pretty much how it looks like. All right, let's make some sort of sketching out. So we obviously have a header on top. Then we have some, these items which are snapping, and that is pretty much how it should look like. Now, obviously, we have a few more of these items, and kind of like this is how it looks like at the end. Before we actually go ahead and get started, I have a few different files that I want to import. So say we have the images, all these backgrounds, we have to use those. And we also have some sort of font, which is actually needed to complete this project. So you can actually download these items in the link from the link below. There's a Google Drive link. I linked both the fonts and the assets in there. So these are actually those files that and those images that you can actually see on the Tesla homepage. And that's pretty much it. Now we obviously have the Tesla logo and we have a smaller logo. I just created those, so we don't have to worry about those anymore. Now, let's create a components folder also inside of here. So we got components, awesome. And then in there, we got the header.js. And we obviously have a header.css file as well, because we will be styling those two. Now we're just gonna type in RAFCE. That will create a React arrow function component, and it exports it for us. Now for class name, I want to give it obviously header. We got the header, okay. And before we actually forget it, let's go ahead and import the CSS file right now. So we got the header.css file from the same folder, so that's amazing. Inside up here, we got a few different things. So first, of course, we got the logo on the left-hand side. We got some centerpieces, and we got the right-hand side as well. So we're gonna start with the left-hand side, which is going to be the header logo. It's gonna be header logo, amazing. And in there, we will have an image tag, and that will somehow we will grab this Tesla logo small. So let's actually go ahead and import that right away. We will say Tesla logo from, and notice that I will need to go up a level of folders, and then in there I will have the Tesla logo small.svg file. So that's what I'm gonna be pushing in here. And we also have some sort of alt text, which is not always necessary, but good for SEO purposes. So we're just gonna say Tesla logo in here. And that's pretty much it. Okay, so we pretty much got a logo. Let's go ahead and check it out. So if I refresh, we're not gonna see anything because I haven't imported it. So we're gonna go back to in here, delete that line, and then just add the header right over here. Boom. Now I used auto import, so when I started typing in header, it actually put this line in here. If you don't know how to do it, not a problem. You can just go ahead and copy this line, but actually VS Code lets you auto import components. Okay, and we actually got it right there. So if we go ahead and look at that, that's our Tesla logo. Amazing. Let's go back to header.js. Now we got the header center, and that's gonna be the piece that That's gonna be the piece that contains all the model and the solar parts. So I'm just gonna go ahead and put this snippet right in here. So we got all these p tags inside of here, which are containing model S3, XY, and solar roof and solar panel. And that actually created our center part over the header. Now it doesn't look, it's pretty much don't look like a header now. Not a problem so far. We're gonna make it look beautiful. All right, amazing. And we also have a header header right portion, which is going to contain the shop and the Tesla account, which is amazing. And we pretty much are done with the structure of the header. Now we're just gonna make it look beautiful. So before we actually go ahead and get started, I wanna go into index.css and do a few different things now, because notice that Tesla's font is not this one. Now I already provided you with one, but it is time we actually start using it. So going in here, we have a few different things we need to do. So obviously we need to define the font face, which is going to have a font family of ICL medium. Okay, and we need to give it a source, which is going to be a local one. So let's just type that same thing right in there. Before I make any typing mistakes, I'm just gonna go ahead and do this. And we will also have a URL for it. And this is actually at the font. And that's it. Now we also want to do a format. We also want to do a format and say true type in there. And we also want to give it a font weight of normal. Now I forgot to give this here, but now we're good. And we pretty much just defined a full new font. Now that's good. Let's go into here, and where it says font family, we want to go ahead and add this as the first option. So we're just going to say this, add a comma, and we're good. So this is going to be the top priority font that we are going to be using throughout the whole page. And if you take a look at this, it already changed a little. So if I go back in here and I remove it, you saw that it actually changed a little. Okay, now we got the fonts figured out. Let's go back in here and give this header a nice style. So inside of header.css, we got a few different things that we will need to do. So obviously we're going to target the header first, and we got the display, which is going to be not inline but flex. We're going to have a background color of transparent, because it will always stay on the top, and that's how it is. And we're going to have a background of none, so it is not going to disturb any of the view. It's just not going to be there. It's good. Okay, and we got them a position of fixed, and we're gonna have a width of 100 view width, so that will actually stretch out the whole thing throughout the whole page. And we're gonna have a top of 0, not percent, just simply 0. Good. We also will have a margin of 15 pixels, and the margin top of 15 pixels, just to make sure that nothing gets overridden. That's always there. And we want to have a z index of 100, so it will always stay on the top no matter how we scroll it. So we are kind of getting there. We're still pretty far, but we're kind of getting there. So obviously we want to have a header logo sort of targeting over here. That's good. And we're gonna have a height of 24 pixels, a width of 100 pixels, and the margin top of 7 pixels. So we got the header center over here. which will have a flex of 1, so it will spread out as much as it can without killing the others. And this will have a display of flex and the justify content of center. Now, if we take a look at this, we are getting closer and closer. Every single letter we type, it is getting closer. All right, so next up, we're gonna go into header center and target all those p tags, which will have a margin of 10 pixels. And we're gonna also say text transform of uppercase. Now we're also gonna do a header right, and that will have also a display of flex, a justify content, but in this case we are going to justify the content to the flex end so that it actually is going to be all the way on the right hand side. And we also will do a text transform of uppercase. Now that's good, and we will do the header right, and we will target all the p tags in there. Whoops. And give them a margin of 10 pixels. So that's good. We are actually there. It is looking like it looks amazing. So just a quick comparison. That's what we got there, and it's pretty nice. I like it. So that is how pretty much the header is built up structure wise. And for now, this is going to be the styling that we will leave it at. And let's go ahead and do our git commit. So git add dot. Let's just take a look at the status, because we can do that too. So it's amazing. Here you can see that you modify the app.js file, added all these files. So you should see a lot of new files in here, a lot of them in assets, and we got the header CSS and JS files, and we got the font, and we got the index.css as well. So that is amazing. And now you just want to go ahead and type in git commit -m and then say header plus assets. Yeah, that's good. Plus assets. And if you hit return, it will do this. And now we are actually committed. So that's good. And on to the next one. Okay, so the main thing in the Tesla homepage is actually these center pieces. I called them items just so it's easier to see what's happening. Let's take a look at what it is built up. How it is built up. So we got obviously this title area-ish thing, and we have these two buttons, but they are kind of like centered, and the whole background is filling out the whole screen. So that's there's a few different things that we will need to address there. And there are a few different stuff that's happening. So over here in accessories, we just have one button. Everywhere else we have two. And if we go all the way up, we have this expand more icon from Material UI icons. So that's just something to keep an eye on too. All right, so let's understand let's actually take a look at this and start building this out. So, all right, so let's start by creating a new component. So we will just call it item.js, which is amazing. And we will just put it on the side. And after an RAFCE, we have a full-on function. So that's good. We give it a class name of item. And inside of there, we will actually do a few different things. So notice that every single one of those have a different background, obviously. But we kind of want to reuse the same components, and we will do something called inline styling. So we will do inline styling instead of actually setting this whole thing up to the point where it's like really hard to understand how it's happening. So what we will do is we will just say style and boom, boom, two of these squiggly braces, and that way we can just start typing CSS in here. So we will just say, I'm just gonna leave it empty for now because we got a few different things to discuss before we actually style this. So that's good. That part is amazing. And I'm just going to make a bit more space for myself over here. Good. So we will actually pass in the background over here, but let's not worry about that for now. We will do this in just a second. So let's understand what are the stuff that we will actually need to have in here. So we will have the item container. Inside of there, we will have an item text as well. Oh, item text. And that will contain a p tag, or it could be like a h1, but I just prefer to go with p's. So yes, and we will have a class name. We will have another div with the item text description. So that's that. There's that too. And inside of there, we will have another p tag, which will contain the description. So that's pretty much it for the top part, because it's not that hard to create. And we will have a lower third part of the specific item, so that will contain both the buttons and the arrow where it is actually there. So let's just add the item lower third. That's good. And we will have an item buttons. So buttons will be actually another component which we will build out in just a second. But we kind of see that these are props that we will need to pop in here. Obviously, because there are different texts on these buttons. So we have order now, learn more, and shop now, and all these kind of stuff. And we got custom order. So we really need to keep an eye on what we are actually rendering out on screen. So with that, I actually have a few different snippets, which is highly recommended for you to just go ahead and copy. I will make it easy for you by showing all this stuff. This is actually going through the whole assets folder and then just imports everything in here. So that's that. And then in here, let's delete all these commented parts. We will have the app items container. Boom. We want items container, and that will actually contain all the items that we got here. So let's go ahead and I have another snippet just like that. On this snippet, you can actually see that I'm already passing in all these stuff. We got description links. So if you want to go ahead and add that feature on top of it, you can totally go ahead and do it. We are not going to worry about that too much because it's like very HTML basic. So I'll just actually. Okay, so we got the possibility to extend everything, and if this video actually gets the 5,000 likes that I was talking about at the beginning of this video, we will actually fill all these stuff up, and we will have a fully ready Tesla.com page. So for that, I have all these expansion ready stuff here. So if you haven't already, smash that like button, because that is the number one most important ways to become a developer in 2021. So make sure to smash it, and make sure to smash it an uneven, so it's an odd number of times, because if you smash it 2, 4, 6, 8, you actually happen to unsmash it by the last time you smash it, and that is just not good. So you want to go with the 1, 3, 5, 7, 9 route, where you actually happen to smash it at the very end. All right, so that's something to keep in mind. All right, let's continue. So we got the item.js. Now obviously we need to actually grab all these stuff, so we can go ahead and destructure it right away. You can actually type it out. So we got all these stuff happening. Basically, you want to type out here everything that we passed in. So we will do a few different things now. So just so we have the things that we need to have. So we obviously change it to the proper prop. So we will have the description here. We will have the title. It's good. And then this is where it gets tricky. So let's go ahead, and we're not going to focus on the button just yet. We want to get the item ready, but we will this is the time when we actually need to go ahead and create the button item. So we will have it here, and we're just gonna type in RAFCE, so that's good. We will have a class name of button, and we will leave it just like that. We're not gonna worry about that too much. All right, so we will have, so we are done there, and we're just gonna go ahead and import it. So again, I used auto import, but you can go ahead and import it this way. And to the item, so to the button, I have an importancy which I will pass in. So the first one is obviously going to be the primary button. Then it will have a text, which is going to be the left button text, because the left button is going to be the primary one, because yeah. And we also want to pass in the link, which is going to be the left button link. Now, again, I left space for us to actually improve on this and add more features on top of this. So just yet, we are not going to use the button links and all that stuff, but if this video gets those 5K likes, we will. All right, so now I'm going to teach you a neat little trick, which I don't think we actually have done on this channel. Okay, so 2 buttons, 2 of these end signs, and then this is where the second button is going to come if it is needed. That's going to be a secondary button. Now, this will have a text of the right button text and a link of the right button link. So that's that. Now let's actually take a moment and understand what is happening here. So we got the 2 buttons which we actually pass in over here. So if it is true, right, then this statement is going to be true. Now this operator is actually checking if both sides are true. Now if the left side is not true, then it's not even going to check the second, the right hand side. So we can actually leave it here. So in case the 2 buttons is false, it is not even going to take a look at what's happening here, because then the whole operation is going to be false. So it will just ignore this line of code. So if 2 buttons is false, then it will ignore line 21. Now, on the other hand, if the 2 buttons is true, it will check the second part if it is true. Now, it will check it in a way that it actually executes it, and then we will have it rendered out. So that's pretty much how it works. Super easy, super elegant, and super great way to work with. So we will go down a row deeper outside of this div, and then we will do the exact same thing. So if this is the first one, then we will want to go ahead and render out a something. So it will be an item dash expand, which we will and this is the time when we will be using Material UI. Now let's take a look at what we're going to be looking at. So we're going to need to have a Material UI icon. All right, so we're going to be going to Material Icons. Good. And then we will have this expand more. So this, not this. So this one is what we're going to be using. You can just go ahead and hit the copy and go back here. And then in here, we will just say yarn add and add material dash UI slash core. So first we need to add the core, and then we can add the icons as well. So I'm just going to speed it up for you. All right, we're back. And we're going to say we're going to do the same, but we're going to change it to icons. And that way we will be able to work with it. All right, let's speed it up. Good. We are back. And up here, we can just go ahead and hit a paste. And once we are done with that, we can just say expand more icon. And that's it. And actually, let's not forget to import item from we're going to go to components and we're going to say item. So that's pretty much how it should be looking like. And let's go ahead and hit a refresh. And boom, we got all this stuff happening here. That's pretty good. And now, remember I said we will have this inline styling in here. So we're just going to say background image. And we're going to give it a URL. And in there we will pass in the background image. So that's good, and it should actually load up all our images. So that's actually pretty amazing. I think it looks good. For most backend developers, this actually looks pretty acceptable and ready to be shipped. But hold on to that. We will actually make it look pretty nice. So let's just add a new file in here. Item CSS, good. All right, so the item has a few different things inside in terms of styling. So what we will do is we will give it a height of 100 view height, so that will stretch out vertically. And then we want to say width of 100 view width, which will stretch out horizontally. And then we will give it a background position. So we will give it a background position of center, and then a background repeat of no repeat. So that way it will not go ahead and repeat the background all the way. And then we will have a background cover. No. We will have a background size, and then we will have a background size of cover instead of contain. And a display flex, and we will justify everything to the center. So that's pretty much how we will start this off with. We have a testing library. We don't need that, so thank you for joining our session. But we will import the item.css file. That's pretty good. And then let's take a look at if it takes action. Boom, there we go. We got all the text up top, so that's amazing. We have everything in the center, and we also have the header on top of everything and staying right there, so that's cool. So it kind of works. All right, let's go a bit down, and we're gonna have the item container, which will have a width of 40 view width, a display of flags. We will give it a flex direction of column and an align items of center. So that way we will snap everything in the middle. So that's pretty good. All right. All right, up next, we got the item text, which we will target and make look beautiful, which has a margin top of 20%. And we'll have a display flex, just like everything else. And it will have a flex direction of column and a font size of 34 pixels. Now we will also give it a nice color, which is actually the Tesla font color. So that's good. So this is 39, 3C, and 41. I'll just throw it on the screen so it's easier to copy. And we will have an align items of center and a flex of 1. So that's pretty much for the text. Let's take a look at what's happening over here. So it's looking pretty nice already. We also got the item text description, which will have a font weight of 200 and a font size of 14 pixels. Next up, we got the item lower third with a margin bottom of 5 pixels, display flex direction of column. And we will also use the display flex on the item buttons because we want them to be like next to each other. So that's pretty nice. And then item expand, which will have a color of white and a width of 100%. Margin top margin top of 3%, and the justify content of center. Now this is the look that we just got. So we're getting there. We're pretty much cool with the. I'm pretty much cool with how the items are looking right now. We have a few different things to left to do, but let's actually do a git commit. So we will say git add dot git commit -m, and we will say item. That's pretty much it for the item. I'll see you in the next one. All right, before we actually finish this project up, one more thing we have to do is button. So the button is actually so in button, it's actually not that crazy, but at first it may look like. So in here, we got this button class name, which is good, but we're just going to get rid of it because we will have template literals coming in here. So remember, we actually passed in the importancy of the specific button as well as the text and the link. And based on what kind of button it is, we will display different kind of things and it will look different. So what we would do is we have the template literals here. So we're going to type in button and we're going to say if the importancy equals secondary, then we want to add a button that underscore white. Otherwise, we don't want to add anything at all. So that's good. Now inside of here, we will have an A, which will have an href that will be the link, and we will have the text. That's pretty much it. That's the structure of the button. So that's good. So this here again, this is an ES6 way, so it's a super modern way to actually do an if statement. I highly recommend everybody goes ahead and learns it. So that's just what happens here. All right, now actually let's go ahead and make this button look nice. So we will type here button.css, and before we actually go in and get and forget it, let's add the button. Let's import it. So that's good. And in here, actually the CSS this time is going to be way more than the JavaScript, than the JSX. It will have a background color of RGBA, and it will have a 23, 26, 32, and a 0.8 opacity. So that's good. And we will have a height of 40 pixels and a width of 256. Yes, 256 pixels. We will also have a margin of 8 pixels. Display of flags because we want them to be next to each other. And we will justify all the content to the center and align them to the center. So both horizontally and vertically, they are going to be on the center. And we will have a border radius of 100 pixels. And we will have the opacity of the whole thing, not just the background, because the background is 0.8, but even we need to reduce the text opacity to 0.85. Now inside of there, we have obviously the link, and we need to remove all the text decoration, which is going to be none after this. A color of white is going to be given to it. We will have a font size of 12 pixels and a text align of center. Now remember, if it is a secondary one, we will add a button white. So that's what we will define over here. So if it ends up to be a white button, then obviously we want it to look white. So we will say background color. So we will say background color is going to be white in that case, and we want the opacity to be 0.65. So it's less hard. So white is a much more harsh color than black. So we want that to be reduced more. And inside of there, we will give the text color to be black. Taking a look at what we have, it is pretty much done. Only thing left to do for us is going to be the scroll snap. So let's roll that. We have everything ready to go. We have all the styling. One thing, and this is a new stuff that we haven't done on this channel just yet up until now, but it's time we actually introduce scroll snapping. So what we would do is open up app.css, and we will have a few different things coming in here. So we will have app items, container, and that we have a scroll snap type of mandatory, and it will be only mandatory for the y-axis. Now we will also have an overflow, which is going to be auto, and a height of 100 view height. Now, one more thing which we need to do, because it just only enforces it, but it doesn't know what it needs to enforce it on. So what we will do is going to item.css, and we will add one more thing here, which is going to be scroll snap align, and we want the start to be aligned to it, and that will actually bring us the desired outcome of snapping the scrolling. And now you cannot actually stop it in between. It will snap it somewhere. So that's that. Amazing job. You build the Tesla homepage. Smash that like button once again if you want me to actually go ahead and build it further.
Alright, that was it for today's video. Let me know in the comments down below if you liked it, or what else do you want me to build for you. And also smash that like button. If we reach 5,000 likes on this video, I will be dropping the next episode as soon as I can. Thanks for joining me in today's session. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.